Okay, so now we have some extra minutes. We're ahead of schedule, which means we can have a full discussion, which will begin with our respondents, our colleagues here from Pitt, starting with, and I'd ask you to take your seats, Gordon Mitchell, who's the Assistant Dean of the University Honors College, Associate Professor, Department of Communication, and Sanjeev Shroff, the Distinguished Professor and Gerald McGinnis Chair in Bioengineering from the Swanson School, and our own Steve, who might or might not tell us who he's tweeting, Steve Wisniewski, the Vice Provost for Data and Information and Professor of Epidemiology from the Graduate School of Public Health. So they've each prepared to respond to what they've heard, and I'll turn it over to Sanjeev. You're first?
No? I'm just picking something up.
Okay. Oh, your special little device. So,
I think Gordon, you go first, right?
Oh, yes. The remarkable collaboration between Diana Hicks and Cassidy Sugimoto has given us not only a manifesto, but also a policy exemplar, one that in translating the Leiden principles into practice may usefully inform our deliberations here at Pitt. And I'm going to ask my communication colleagues to distribute a one-page version of the first slide that Cassidy showed, which is a copy of the Indiana policy, which was passed last year. So if you take a look at this and you focus in on section B2 when the copy comes around, that's the one that's entitled Complementary Methods. And here, this is where the policy states that quantitative indicators should supplement rather than replace other forms of review. So supplement, not replace, has strong common sense appeal, but I'm curious about what exactly is the principle's normative force. Supplement, not replace would seem to speak most clearly in instances where only a quantitative indicator is deployed to assess research. Such is the case in 14 outcome cells in the 2017 Dietrich School Strategic Plan, where progress toward the Plan for Pitt goal of, quote, engaging in research of impact is measured solely using academic analytics. For example, page 15 of the strategic plan measures progress on the strategy of reimagining the human in the digital age by counting the number of Pitt humanities departments that rank in the top quartile of academic analytics ratings. Currently, there are 7 such departments that are in the top quartile. Perhaps if that number increases to 8 or 9 in the coming years, the strategy could be judged a success. The Leiden Manifesto, DORA, and the Sugimoto-led Indiana policy would all call foul on this judgment. When the Dietrich School Strategic Plan makes a quantitative indicator the sole metric in 14 of its outcome cells, it functionally supplants other forms of assessment. But what about cases where a quantitative indicator is identified as just one metric in the toolbox or a suite of multiple assessment tools, as is the case with 5 other cells in the Dietrich School Strategic Planning Matrix? How does supplement, not replace, offer guidance in these scenarios? An analogy illustrates the potential for a big loophole here. So imagine you're a person who's working 40 hours a week in a widget factory. One day the manager comes in and says, bad news, the assembly line is going to be automated, so we're going to have to cut you back to a 2-hour work week. The good news is you're not going to be replaced because the new machines will only be supplementing, not replacing your labor. And herein lies the loophole. Technically, one can satisfy supplement, not replace, with an approach that shrinks the thing being supplemented down to the level of an inconsequential token. Now, the search for a way to close this loophole and revise the language in the B2 of the policy that you're looking at took me back to the classic study on anchoring effects published in Science by Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman in 1974. They found that your starting point in making any judgment, especially if that starting point is numerical, influences your subsequent thought process significantly, sometimes even on a subconscious level. In other words, when it comes to judgments under conditions of uncertainty, the anchor may not be determinative, but it will likely exert an outsized influence on your ultimate decision. In the context of scholarly research assessment, this is why it is so critical to explicitly establish qualitative anchors that place quantitative indicators properly in their supplementary support role. The blue box on the bottom of page 1 of the handout that you're looking at sketches a possible revision designed to emphasize this by making the supplement not replace principle more descriptive and normatively thick. It says methods of qualitative expert assessment such as peer review should anchor judgments about the quality and impact of academic research. Quantitative indicators should be used to supplement, not overshadow, these qualitative assessments. On the flip side of the page, the Indiana policy deals more with faculty input on the purchase and possible termination of systems and less on their routine use. This strikes me as a potential limitation because faculty may want to participate in shared governance with the administration when resource allocation decisions hinge on factors such as the definition of the disciplinary peer groups or field normalized default weights being used in systems like academic analytics. Similarly, it would seem productive to have a dedicated venue for addressing concerns about goal displacement, which we've heard a lot about already, even if those discussions stop short of a system's termination. For example, a dramatic case of goal displacement can be found on page 8 of the Dietrich School's new strategic plan, which aims to, quote, refocus graduate fellowship resources in order to, quote, position more programs within the top 25% in their disciplines using academic analytics. In other words, the success of a teaching strategy will be assessed using a research metric. This goal displacement creates an odd incentive for department chairs to pursue teaching excellence by racking up research productivity as measured by academic analytics. A proposed revision in the blue box on the bottom of page 2 is designed to expand the scope of the policy to cover not just purchase but also use of analytic systems, creating a channel for routine shared governance discussions about topics such as goal displacement, transparency, definition of disciplinary peer groups, and field normalized default weights. Soon, a new dean may supplement or supplant the 2017 5-year Dietrich School strategic plan. The university might follow Georgetown in canceling its subscription to academic analytics. Whatever the short-term future might bring, it's my long-term view that the University Senate should strive to hone its own version of Indiana's policy on faculty scholarly activity systems, creating a shared governance framework that will position Pitt at the forefront of an intensifying national and global discussion regarding responsible use of scholarly metrics in academia. Thank you very much.